I know I make a lot of videos about yaoi, but it's not the only thing I read. Once upon a time, as a tween, I found myself on Wattpad, back when it was booming. Wattpad used to be my main social media as a kid, as I was not allowed to have a real social media, like Instagram or Twitter, probably for the better. I would used to post art books on there, and Wattpad was my second art community after Pagey World died down. Shout out to all the Pagey World users. But Wattpad as a book writing app, of course, had books. That meant I spent most of my time consuming books, whether it was good writing or it was bad writing. Truthfully, most of the writing on Wattpad was pretty bad, but as a kid, it didn't matter. I loved reading trash, thinking it was so good, and for that, I'm actually jealous of my past self because I can't enjoy books like I used to anymore. Besides the point, I was not a kid that was into fanfiction too much other than creepypastas, Pokemon Genjinka's X-Reader, Minecraft mod Genjinka's X-Reader, and honestly, I have not heard the term Genjinka in such a long time. So I tend to gravitate more towards original books. The hype back then was werewolf novels. I think of it as the original obsession with werewolf hierarchy. We had this before we had Omegaverse. The straight Omegaverse is what we should call it. While these novels are less popular now, it was the isekai novels of today back then. Addicting and oversaturated. Now let me explain the hierarchy dynamics. In the werewolf trope, there is the alpha, who is the leader of the pack, the beta, who is the second in command to the alpha, the deltas, who are the citizens, and the omegas, who are the lowest tier in the hierarchy. Otherwise, there's also rogue wolves, who decide to lead their packs and roam free. These guys are looked down upon, cause they're loners, I guess. Mace is a term for two werewolves who are meant to be together, decided by the moon goddess. Yeah, the werewolves worship somebody we call the moon goddess. Sometimes they show up in the stories, but sometimes not. But yeah, she's there, I guess. She makes really bad decisions for who becomes mates, but I'm not judging. I'm reading this trash. The wolves usually have a coming of age ceremony where they transform into their wolf selves. I swear, this is not some furry shit, but these guys have an inner wolf who is almost like a different being from them, who just happen to share the same body, and only when they come of age, they're able to find their mates. I swear to God, guys, I'm not furry. Probably. They know who is their mate by first sight and sometimes by pheromone smells, like in Omegaverse. When Omegaverse first came out, I kept thinking back to the werewolf books because of the similarities, but alas, the werewolf trope was made to gear towards white women and most likely inspired by Twilight, which back then was considered a good film. Werewolf Wattpad books were white woman crack, and I'm not white, but I might as well be an ABC, so I was addicted to these books. In the setting, werewolves are this hidden thing that normal humans don't know about, but operated within human society. Werewolves live pretty normal lives, other than following the alpha's command and such. Our main protag girlie was always an Omega. She was either the runt of the pack, and her family didn't like her because she was a runt, so they thought of her as useless or some other lame reason. Omegas as the lowest tier in the social chart meant that they were used as the pack's punching bag and slave. Because it was our good year 2015 or something. You know what was popular back then? Dun 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 dun! Yes, you guessed it. The I'm different from the other girls trope. A lot of the protags, if the author felt a little bit spicy, which meant most authors, may make collages of clothes as reference for our characters, and despite being bullied, our main girly pop always had to be snarky because she's different. She's just very different. And of course, she always wore Converses and probably dyed her hair and has lip piercings, but she's always bullied, but she's sassy. A little bit cringe, but sassy. Typically, these species of protagonists were left with their creepypasta X-Reader fanfictions, but they were around with other books too. Quite popular everywhere because alternative and scene and being emo was just really popular. Most famously, please reference that one Harry Potter fanfiction. If you know, you know. Our girlie was always bullied in high school as the Omega, and the alpha son was always the main bullier. And how the plot goes is that it is finally their coming of age ceremony, and when she comes of age, everyone finds out that she's a rare special white wolf blessed by the moon goddess with elemental powers. Okay, to be fair, I actually really liked Mary Sue's back then, so I actually enjoyed it. You can only live once as a kid, alright? But pow pow pow! Because of this, the pack cannot believe that she was actually blessed by the moon goddess. And usually, what do you know? She is actually mates with the alpha's son. I locked orbs with Kyle, our pack's alpha. He looked stunned, realizing I was an elemental white wolf blessed by the moon goddess. No, it can't be, I heard him murmur under his breath. His handsome face was in shock, but soon that shock turned into a scowl. I felt it too, the shock when our eyes met, the electricity, it buzzed. The invigorating scent of black espresso coffee that made me addicted wafted from him. Mate, said Karen my wolf. It's our mate, our mate. She whimpered excitedly. I could feel her tag wagging excitement. She had not noticed or ignored the scowl on his face. I was less excited than her, growling slightly. I can't believe Kyle is my mate. Of all people, why him? Why would the moon goddess make him my mate? There's no way we could be together. He's obviously going to reject us. I was afraid of rejection, but I clenched my hands to prepare for the oncoming pain. Hey, Kyle Broflovsky, reject you as my mate! He screamed at me. I felt my body being torn to shreds. The feeling of pain overwhelmed my body. Karen, my wolf, was in shock. Why? She said as tears flowed from her eyes, and my eyes too. But I am strong. I had expected this from him, so I grit my teeth and I said, I, Eric Cartman, accept your rejection. That was a part of my new hit book, My Alpha Kyle, that I'm writing. Make sure to buy it at your local Barnes & Nobles, my pookies. Hope you enjoyed that snippet. Like with most female-oriented novels, we always love a jerk protagonist. Love them bad boys, as we say. Poggers. But seriously, it's so funny. I can't believe I used to unironically enjoy this as a kid, and reading the same plotline 1,000 times on Wattpad? Holy shit! Sometimes, if the book was spicy, main girlie would also have the beta pining after her, or she might get with a dark and mysterious brooding rogue. But most times, she just ends back with Kyle Broflovsky, of course. What do you expect? For her to actually choose a good man? Ptooy! Clearly you don't understand romance. Anywho, I don't hear a lot of people talk about this phase of Wattpad, so I made a video about it. If you guys read any of these, let me know. I want to know. I am not knowing this, I swear to God. You alpha pookies? No, baby girls. Originally, this video was going to be a video about my cat, but clearly, greater beings intended for me to talk about straight white women Omegaverse. So, next video is either going to be about my cat, or creepypasta ex-readers, or this one other thing I'm thinking about but it's very specific. Either ways, see ya! Mwah!